Good evening. My name's Andrew Cunningham, and I want to give you a little story of my life, and I just want to give you some information that may help you, it may not. Everyone ask yourself a question. It's one you ask all the time. Everyone asks, why am I here? Why are you here? You may go through a potential problem. You may go through a trial in your life. You may, 5 of your vehicles break down, and just everything's hectic, and you're looking around and you just ask, why? Why me? Why, God, are you putting me through this? Think about one of those situations while I tell you the story of a few of the instances in my life. I went to youth camp shortly before I turned 13. I gave my life while I was at youth camp. My mother was one of the counselors. She was there with me. God broke me down. He showed me why I needed salvation. He showed me that I was a sinner in need of salvation. A day or two later, I turned 13. We leave youth camp the next day. And then it's a little over 2 weeks later that one of the only real solid godly influences in my life gets hit in a car accident and dies. It was my mother. She was gone. A few years later, I'm in high school. God shows me the woman of my dreams. And literally, I mean the woman of my dreams. God showed me a perfect image of the woman He was having me to marry most of my life. I thought she didn't exist. I thought that was God's way of keeping me away from running around doing things I shouldn't. But the second I laid eyes on her, I bumped my brother in the shoulder and said, that's my wife. Stay away. A few years later, we got married. I did things the wrong way. I had my first young'un at 16. We wound up getting married. We've been together for 18 years. We have 5 children. Christ has used us in so many ways, and He blessed us even though we messed up. During these years, it was hard. Life is difficult when you get married young. Life is hard to have a family. Life is hard to get through. Life is just hard when you're starting. Most people that's adults now and are getting out on their own or have been out for a while, they know this already. During this time, I had a boss. I had to move positions, and I get under him, and the first thing that I realize is he's the type of person that, without joking, would come up and tell you to mop the floor while you were already mopping the floor just so he could be the type of person that told you to do it. I was miserable. I hated this job. I hated the position, and every day I woke up and it just was a struggle just to go into work because I was so furious at where I was at. God used this boss to change my attitude about work. He used this boss to change so much in my life, and He used this person who I thought was just here just to make me miserable to actually teach me many lessons. A couple years later, I'm leaving this position. I'm going to another part of the company, and God revealed something to me that He didn't have to, but He did it anyways to show me that just because I didn't understand didn't mean I couldn't trust. One of the lab techs come up to me and explained to me that watching my attitude change and watching me read my Bible when I was on my tow motor during breaks and just genuinely watching how I behaved had changed his mind, and it got him in his Bible. He started going to church again, and he actually gave his life to Christ. It was God showing me that I was there for 5.5 years of misery. It was a horrible job. I worked long hours, and I gave a lot to that company and spent a lot of time away from my family and kids when I thought I should have been with them, but God had me there. He had me there for 5.5 years for one person. During this time, something else also happened. A good friend of our family's that was a friend of my wife first, her husband and I became friends. Our children played with her children. And the relationship we had was close enough that we spent quite a bit of time with them, and I was able to show my wife what my mother was like because she never met her. She died before I even met my wife. Because this woman was the spitting image of my mother. She was loud. She was boisterous. She loved God with all her heart, and she was an absolute joy to be around. This woman made you want to be with her. When you left her, you were happier and you were better for even if it was 30 seconds, you got to say hi to her. This woman gets diagnosed with cancer. She has a couple-year battle. She loses. She goes home to be with Jesus. So we go to the funeral home, and sitting on the front porch of the funeral home with the door, you know, they always open them up. You get to come in, the greeters have you sign the book. Sitting outside right by the door is one of this woman's sons, who was around the same age I was when I lost my mother. And I knew from experience he didn't want anybody to come up and bombard him with a whole bunch of stuff, so I didn't say a word. I just walked up and I squatted next to him. And after a little bit, he turns to me and he says, "Are they lying to me?" And I said, "What do you mean, are they lying to you?" And he said, "Are they lying to me?" He said, "They keep telling me it's going to get better. Are they lying?" And I said, "Son, they're not lying to you. They're not finishing and they're not telling you the whole truth, but they're not lying to you. It will get better, but it's going to take time." That single moment in my life, as soon as it was over, I thought, Lord, I'd go back and I'd live through the teenage years and all the turmoil the family went through, and my mother could die 1,000 times over just for the moment to sit for 5 minutes with this boy and give him a little bit of peace and comfort. And it was at that moment that God opened my eyes and made me realize my life isn't for me. It brought so much peace through the pain that I have had throughout my life that it was unimaginable. I hope that question y'all had in your mind, that moment that you thought of, that while I was speaking, God revealed to you some instance to where your life, He put you through something for the benefit of others. And I hope you can realize the joy it'll bring you when you realize that we don't live for us, we live for those around us. God bless you. Have a great day. Thank you for your time.